And when I was in your office, right, you called that young man in. Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
How long has he been at your program?
Which one?
Remember the kid he called in?
Colin.
Colin?
The dark-haired fella?
Yeah, Colin's been with us now for about 6 years. He's been to 15, maybe more, 15 that he could recount treatment facilities to no avail. Not that treatment facilities don't help some, but it didn't work for him. He needed to go someplace where people looked him in the fucking eye and told him the truth about himself.
Accountability.
That didn't powder his southern exposure and
Yeah.
tell him it's not his fault, his daddy was mean to him, and relapse is part of recovery, and you're
Doesn't
always
that
going to
piss
be
you
a
off,
drug
by
addict.
the way?
God.
Relapse, hold on a sec, because I have said this a million times. Relapse, just so everybody's clear, relapse is a part of relapse. Recovery is a part of recovery. It's like two ends of a magnet. When you turn around, they're not the same. Relapse is not a part of recovery. That's bullshit. It pisses
Tony,
me off.
I don't even use any of that language at the Other Side Academy. We are grown adults. We choose to use. We choose not
don't.
to. So
Yeah.
listen to me.
Yeah.
One of the most overused words right now. You can't go through a day, no matter where you work, whether you're in construction, law enforcement, medical field. You can't go through a day without hearing the word trauma. Now,
I knew you were going to say that word.
No, let me finish my thought. Right? Let me just finish my thought.
Yeah.
I want to share something with you. 30 years ago, when you heard the word trauma, it's because there was an accident at the intersection. Yeah. A car got T-boned. The guy's femur sticking through he's got a compound fracture. Paramedics get there, 783, 1 item 12, 1 item 12. We've got a compound fracture. We've got physical trauma, right? That was the word. Now it's mental trauma.
Yeah.
But you didn't even hear that word 30 years ago.
Yeah.
How many people on the face of the planet? It was 8 billion the last time I counted.
Yeah.
I just counted not too long ago. There's about 8 billion.
Yeah.
0.00000. Wait, hold on. How many of those 8 billion have trauma? All of them.
8 billion? Yeah.
They all have trauma.
Yeah.
One form or another.
Absolutely.
Far more people with trauma don't use than with trauma that do. The point I'm making
How
is...
are they doing it then?
Let me finish. People, I run in these circles where people, I got trauma. I get you have trauma. But there's no such trauma that makes somebody use. You don't wake up one morning with a needle in your arm, you look over and the needle's going, hi, I'm trauma. And I'm getting you high. Trauma causes us to feel a certain way. Trauma gets in our heads. Trauma's real. And it causes us to have feelings about certain situations. But it doesn't make you use. The reason why the problem in our community is 500 times worse than it used to be is because we make excuses for people today.
Enabling them.
The bottom line is, you didn't use today, did you? You didn't use today, did you? Did you? I didn't, because I choose not to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I'm going through. It doesn't matter what's going on with me emotionally. It doesn't matter what's going on with me in my personal life. It doesn't matter. I choose not to. Why can't we adopt that mentality? Why? Because it holds people accountable. It makes people own the choices they make in their lives. If we want to improve the current situation in our country, when you look at San Francisco, Portland, Kensington, Pennsylvania, these cities where we've completely lost the entire city, it's because we enable people. We make it okay for them to use.
So you mean like having these vans driving around, giving people heroin so they don't go through pain?
Don't get me started.
Doesn't that just piss you right the hell on off? And why? Well, because we don't want them to go through the pain of the withdrawals from heroin, so we're going to give them heroin.
Well, I tell you
what.
Are
you freaking what?
One of the worst withdrawals I ever had was from heroin. Right? Heroin withdrawals.
Did you die?
I didn't die.
Oh.
And I'm not saying that there isn't a place for medically assisted treatment. Look, in today's world, if I'm hooked on fentanyl or heroin today, and I'm using a gram or two a day, I mean, I am hooked.
Yeah.
And I go, God, I want help. But I can't quit because it's too painful.
Yeah.
You've never known. It sucks.
Yes.
And then someone said, we're going to put you on medically assisted treatment for the next 2 weeks or 30 days.
Yeah.
Titrate my ass off and get me off of it.
Okay, so wait, right there. So we are an MAT program.
Right.
Right?
Get me off of it.
But here's my problem. When those knuckleheads got before Congress, whoever they got to prove Suboxone and Subutex, those assholes, right? And I use that term with all the love I can muster, right? They didn't say, okay, government, whoever we're getting the opportunity to get this approved, these people are going to be taking this shit for the rest of their life. What they said was titration.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get these people. They're gonna peak, then they're gonna go down.
Right.
But that's not what's happening.
I know it isn't.
With methadone, all that shit, they're taking it for the rest of their lives.
We are now doing it in prison. It just right here in our prison here. I'm not going to tell you the name of the. I am connected to this prison. They tested a couple hundred people. They were all dirty for Suboxone.
Yeah.
Of which 90% of them didn't have the prescription.
I was going to say dirty. I mean,
they're selling it and they're trading it. Where Suboxone's half-life. If I take Suboxone now, tomorrow half that is still in me. I take another strip. A quarter of that half-life is still in me. Now I got the half-life from today. Now I got the full one. It is harder to kick Suboxone than it is fucking heroin or fentanyl.
So
once you've been on it for a long time.
What we have done is traded one that is illegal.
Right, and now Big Pharma is making billions of dollars keeping me loaded.
Oh, but no, wait. I'm on Medicaid. It's free. It's free.
The taxpayer's paying for it.
No, bullshit. It's free. I go to the farm. I'm being a smart ass again.
Someone's paying for it.
It's not free, right? Somebody's paying for that. Okay? But
here's what we've done.
Yeah.
Big Pharma
is the biggest drug dealer on planet Earth.
Is now. You look at Adderall. Are you ready for this? It's the number one prescribed, one of the top prescribed drugs in this country is Adderall. Matter of fact, there's a shortage of it right now. I was recently in England, right, going into the lifer prisons and talking to people that are in the lifer prisons in England. I was in Gertrude and Chartres. I don't remember the names. Anyway, we were in London. It's fascinating. They don't even prescribe it there. You can't even bring it from here to there. Why is it legal here and illegal there?
2 words.
We are creating drug addicts in this country.
Yes.
We are creating them.
Yes.
You look here.
It goes back to people getting prescribed shit in the hospitals when they come out of a surgery.
You guys give me 3 minutes to describe something to you?
Please.
So, you look at the states like California, Nevada, New York, Colorado that have legalized marijuana. What was the gateway drug for me?
Marijuana.
So, stop right there. Now, Tony, I'm going to assume today you've never done drugs. It's an assumption purely on my part, right? I already know better, but let's assume you are. At 60 years old, you got done with this podcast and here, and you're like, God, dang it, Dave's a lot. You want to smoke a joint? And you smoke a joint for the first time. You have the intellectual capacity and you have the emotional maturity to understand the decision you are making.
Yes.
I guarantee you at 60, if you start smoking pot today, you won't be doing meth 6 months from now. However, listen to me, your 16-year-old kid's coming home from school and he walks in the house. What does he smell?
He smells the weed.
Who's he stealing it from 6 months from now?
Me.
Who else is he hanging out with if he's smoking pot?
His other friends are doing the same
What are
shit.
they doing? Other drugs?
Yes.
He doesn't have the intellectual capacity.
So there's the gateway.
Yes, we are doing it. We are creating drug addicts in this country. We're legal. Go to the states that have legalized pot and tell me in those metropolitan cities if they're better or worse for it. I go to them. I know the mayors, the governors. I'm there. I was in Kensington last year while hundreds of people are standing around with needles on the ground and needles in their arm in a community in the United States. Google Kensington. You'll throw up when you see it. Pregnant woman with a needle in her arm.
What state is this?
It's in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Pregnant woman with a needle in her arm. She should be in jail for no other reason than to detox for the child's. It's allowed there. Cop cars are backed into the apartment complexes just making sure there's no violence. I've got the pictures of huge groups of people with needles in their arms, needles on the ground. This is in a community in the United States of America. When those kids come out of those apartments, what do they see? If you normalize drug use will become normal. Look what happened in Portland over the past 15 years when they legalized small amounts. You're going to get stabbed if you walk through Portland now. Now they've backed that up, right? They've changed the law. They completely lost their city. Look at San Francisco. When we stop holding people accountable for the choices they make in their life, we are not going to solve the problem.
We're going to exacerbate the problem.
You can go to Portland. You can get your shopping cart. You can fill it up at Walmart with less than $800 worth of shit.
And walk out of that store.
When the drug addict criminal becomes the protected class, we will lose our community as we know it. The reason why we're losing the battle is we're not hard enough on people. Let's not even use the word hard.
We're not telling the truth.
We aren't holding people accountable. Yeah. I want you to repeat after me. Just play along. If you want to help people.
If you want.
I've done this already. Go for it.
Wait, I can't do
Sarah.
that. Come on.
I'll
don't be like
play
that.
along if you want me to play along.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
If you want to help people.
If you want to help
people, we got to say it at the same time.
If you want to help people,
If you want to help people,
tell them the truth.
tell them the truth.
If you want to help yourself,
If you want to help yourself,
tell them what they want to hear.
Tell them what they want to hear.
tell them what they want to hear.
We don't tell people the truth anymore.
No.
There are organizations I'm familiar with that you can go there, right? You're required to test. You're dirty. Oh, it's okay. We're just glad you're here. Well, then why wouldn't I use? There's no consequences anymore. Literally, this goes on in some of these treatment facilities. You're allowed to use. How are we going to solve that? So let me ask a question to everybody listening. Is the problem in our communities as it relates to drug addiction, homelessness, and criminal behavior getting better or worse? If it's getting worse, and it is, there is no debating that. Why is it getting worse? Because the methods we're using. That's why.
You're going to get zero argument from me.
Sarah, how about you? I always love your perspective.
Wait, are you going to, yeah, I mean, do you, she's got something to say. You can feel it, right?
I thought you were going to throw something at me. I'm not sure.
Well,
spit it out.
I don't disagree that the problem is getting worse, and I don't disagree that the current story, and set of beliefs centering this issue are flawed. They're not true. If they were true, then it would be effective.
Yeah.
However, I believe that you're talking about a paradox, because on one hand, you say it's a choice. It's a choice, it's a choice, it's a choice. And on the other hand, you say these drugs are so powerful, there are parking lots full of needles and pregnant ladies. So it's like, on one hand, the drug is powerful, and on the other hand, you have a choice. Mm-hmm. And I don't disagree with either of those things. However, I do believe that have you ever heard, and this is from a different paradigm, but not really. It's similar to wherever you go, there you are. Mm-hmm. You take yourself with you. Mm-hmm. There's also this saying, you are the medicine, meaning whatever you take into yourself, be it heroin, a story, love, even sunlight, it comes through the filter that is you. And so what I believe is similar to what you were saying is the flaw is in the filter. And so I believe that, yes, we are creating drug addicts in this country. I think that it's far more multifaceted than that. I think it starts way outside of just like, are you using drugs or not? I believe that it has to do with like lack of community, lack of accountability, not only for ourselves, but to each other, lack of like, oh my gosh, this is going to make me cry. So we're at my house right now, Yuma Street. So it's kind of funny because you talk about Delancey Street and this is Yuma Street, and people have described Yuma Street as kind of like a portal. Like you come to Yuma Street and like stuff happens and you find yourself telling the truth about something that you didn't think that you even really had anything to say about. Mm-hmm. It's family. That's what exists. That's what exists here is within my family culture that was created really by my mother getting sober in 1998. There is a no matter whatness about family where like no matter what you got going on, we're going to stick with you. We're going to stumble towards each other. We're going to be fucking furious with each other and not talk to each other for 2 years, but we're still in it with each other. These are the kinds of like deep valuing of the human soul that we don't have going on. And so of course souls are stumbling around, this country of deep disconnectedness, not knowing what to do or where to go or where to find comfort. So I do believe that, yes, we need to be more honest with each other. However, I believe that the drug addicts are alerting us to a much larger problem which we are all responsible.
But you touched on that problem.
But here's how I think we solve that problem, right?
Well, we're going to say the exact same thing. Is because what she said is the people at Delancey Street and the people at Beacon Recovery, we're family.
And
Right.
the people at the Other Side Academy.
Oh, yeah. What did I
But
say?
here-
I said Delancey
yeah.
Street, but I meant the Other Side
But
Academy.
here's the
yeah.
problem with the pregnant woman with a needle in her arm and all the other people on the street getting loaded. How are they getting their money for their drugs? You got to commit crimes. You're selling drugs. You're stealing stuff. What we need to do in this country is we have to be smarter about the incarceration piece. So the pregnant woman with a needle in her arm, and when I hit that, I missed her and got to the next group by the time I turned my camera on. When we arrest somebody in this state of Utah, I mean, you have to commit murder in Utah to get 30 days. We're arresting and releasing and arresting and releasing. So here's what happens. If I'm a dope fiend on the street and I just stole your $5,000 mountain bike, some people are going to say, oh, it's not a big deal. I broke into your car, stole your purse, and fucked your whole credit up that you've worked for. I ran your credit cards up, got your license, did all that shit, right? What a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But to some, that's a petty crime. But no serious criminal ever started as a serious criminal. I was selling quarter grams before I got to 10 pounds a day of meth. We all start there. When we arrest somebody, don't release them 8 hours later with the 12th promise to appear. Hold them for 30 days or 45 days. When you're in jail and you're being held, what are you forced to do? Detox. If we don't start doing for people what they're incapable of doing for themselves, we are to blame.
Right.
Now, 30 or 45 days later, Tony, we're getting ready to release you. You've been down for 45 days. You have a court date on this date. You can go to Happy House. You can go to Smiley House. You can go to 7th Street. You can go to the Haven. You can go to Red Barn. You can go to the Other Side Academy. When I hand you that option to go to treatment and you are clean and you are sober and you are clear, you're no longer kicking dope, what do you think your odds are of going? Far greater. Now, we arrest you. The contrary to that. We arrest you. We just took all your dope. You got a possession charge. Took all your dope. Took all your money. Took all your personal belongings. We release you 8 hours later. You have nothing. What do you have to go do to get it? We're the fucking problem.
Sure. Yeah.
Why are we not building detoxes on the front end of every county jail? Front end detox.
So when
Every county jail.
When I
Hold on.
listen to you
Wait,
talk,
hold on. Wait. What you just am I bleeding? Because I think I bit my tongue clean through. I have a sheriff that is telling people you must go to Bear River Mental Health up in Brigham City. I go to the jail, talk to Mr. Reiser, his new commander, and I say to those people, can you just, I'm not telling you that you have to tell them they got to go to Beacon Recovery, but I want you to give them a choice. You mentioned all those choices, right? That's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're saying you must go there. And I say, can you just give them a piece of paper with both of our names on it? Nope, can't do
Right.
it. Well, why not? Well, because why? Well, because that's it. And those guys won't take. I've been to that office multiple times. Email me, right? You know what, dude? No, take 3 minutes. I'll even come to your jail and teach people for free, pay for the computers myself. You still won't let me in your jail to catch them when they're in the jail, to start educating them before they fucking leave the jail.
Right.
But yet you got to go to a place that doesn't even offer a PHP level of care. Let that sink in. So 90%, 95% of the folks that come to my facility, that population, they require a PHP level of care. That place doesn't even offer it.
No, I get it, Tony. I get all
So,
that. Yeah.
so the system where I'm at is beyond broken,
Right.
right? And nobody seems to give two shits.
well, it's interesting because you and I, Tony, have spoken about that quite a bit. And one of the things that you desire is to be held accountable. And Dave, you've been talking so much about being held accountable. And
Well,
so
Yeah.
that is part of the problem, is that nobody is held accountable for results because we don't believe that results will actually happen.
okay, and that's what
that is
that's what I said
sad.
earlier. Accountability.
accountability.
Somebody should. I was at the state of Utah begging, hold me accountable. What happens to people when they graduate from my program and they go out there?
yeah.
You should come to me and make it part of my life.
Well, here's what we did. We went to Jim B. Hunnan, who was the state auditor for many years, worked up at the Capitol.
Here in Utah.
Here in
Yeah.
Utah. Now he's on the board with me with Solutions Utah. I had him come in, right? And we did something that treatment facilities can't do. You can't do it either. I gave them every single person who had ever graduated from the Other Side Academy, their name, their phone number, their email address. I gave him everything because we don't have to follow HIPAA laws. I gave him everything. He went back to his office and sat there and spent months calling every graduate. He came back with He said it's the most highly successful organization I have ever seen in all my years working for the state. We don't pull any punches. You guys, because you've been there a number of times already, you can come there and sit down and ask the students anything you want. I don't have to give you different, I don't have to like, Bob, you go talk to him, and Sue, you go talk to her. You guys can ask him anything you want. We are so transparent, such an open book.
Yeah.
We have the state come in. We don't even have to do it. And give them the information that treatment facilities can't provide.
Pause
so they
for
can
1
call
second.
people. Yep.
Pause for you guys. I'm just going to switch the battery in the camera.
We're back up?
We are back.
Okay, so go ahead.
The Other Side Academy obviously isn't for everybody, just like Delancey Street wasn't for everybody. You got to have a certain amount of intestinal fortitude to get through a 2 or 2.5 year residential life skills and vocational training school, especially some place that's going to call you on your shit. No holds barred, right? But it definitely serves a niche, right? There are certain people that, like for me, I needed that. Treatment wasn't working. I remember when I was 18 years old, I was still living at home, and I was still hooked on coke, right? It was right about the end of my high school years. My parents had a Chevy van. That was our family van. I was going to a therapist. His name is Mark. My parents lived in Cerritos. Mark was in Anaheim, so I'd drive down Ornsthorpe, get on the 91 freeway, go to Mark's, and I'd go to my therapy. Now, that gas station right on the corner before you get on the 91 freeway was where my coke dealer was at. So I'd drive the family van, I'd pull in the gas station, I'd pick up my coke, I'd do a few lines, it would be in my pocket, I'd go to therapy. There's no cell phones then. I remember when Mark was calling home to my parents' phone number, 213-860-9273, and I remember Mark telling my parents how great I was doing. Here's a therapist that went to school and got a degree and slapped the degree up on the wall and thinks he fucking understands us. He's telling my parents how great I'm doing while I'm loaded in his presence, in his office, while we're having our sessions. The problem is, in my opinion today, is all these people are going to college and they're getting degrees. If you want to be a brain surgeon, one person teaches you how to do it, another brain surgeon. You want to be a mechanic teaches you. This is one of the only fields where people with absolutely no lived experience are trying to help you. People like Sarah, who has lived experience, who went to school, now she's got lived experience and the education. I think people coming out of college who just read a book, right, especially with today's narrative, this left-leaning liberal narrative, this woke narrative, we're indoctrinating people in schools to believe a certain thing, right? I go to Utah State University. I go to BYU 3 or 4 times a year. I go up to the U and speak in these law classes or these social classes. The professors are asking me to come in, and I say, I'll come in and talk, but I'm going to tell them the truth. That's why we want you, Dave.
Well, it's interesting because you're talking about a niche, right?
Yeah.
And as I've been listening to both of you speak, and part of my role in the world as a writer and a poet is to zoom way out and see the patterns, is to see, okay, how is all of this working together? You guys are in your specialty areas, and you are in those areas because of your lived experience and because that is where your passion is expressed. And that is the best use of the passion, absolutely. And I think that one of the reasons why we have such a hard time getting all together and solving this problem in a much larger way is because they'll try to decide whether they agree with you or not or agree with Tony or not on this area in which you are an expert. And we don't trust experts because for many, many reasons, but because we don't trust experts, we can't work together. Mm-hmm. We can't respect and say, okay, yes, you are qualified to speak in this way. Because when I'm looking at the problem, I'm somebody who, for example, I've worked with a lot of moms and I've been at a lot of births. Okay, so you would think that this is a totally unrelated subject. Like, what does birth have to do with addiction? Why does that even matter? It absolutely matters, and I know that it matters because I'm an expert in that area because of where I came from. I've seen the value of a woman going through a natural birth, experiencing pain. I've seen the value of rite of passage. I've seen the bond that occurs when she doesn't try to get away from her birth, but gets right there in it. I've seen what happens to the mother and the baby. So this is just one little niche, right, of how, as a society, we're afraid of pain. We're afraid of rite of passage. Mm-hmm. We are lacking in rite of passage, and we are lacking in respect. And so that's kind of what I was getting at, where it's like, yes, it's the drug, but it's not really the drug. It's our collective story. It's our mindset that says, I shouldn't have to suffer. And anybody who hurts my feelings is mean, like, or
Anybody that tells the
insensitive.
truth.
Well,
Because that's what happens. When you say the truth, people's feelings get hurt. Right?
right.
But-
So it's this belief that we shouldn't have to experience pain.
Right.
And
But pain
So
is growth.
false.
But
Yeah.
I have
it's
to.
very false.
I want to touch on something though. Something that you said. Not everybody is for your program.
Absolutely.
But I will also tell you on the flip side, right? To that person that has gone to school and got a master's degree in whether they're a CMHC, an LMFT, LCSW, whatever your,
Whatever the acronym is.
whatever theirs is, right? I'm going to suggest to you that there's some of those folks, and I've been through a bunch of them to where I am, but some of them, every once in a while, right? You come across some of those folks that know what they're talking about. Oftentimes because, well, they did go through the experiential learning opportunity of being a person with an addiction, right? And now they are a therapist. I know one. He happens to work for me.
They'll be the best ones.
Oh, so this guy, right? He's the best. And I've been through. You know him, right? Lee, my clinical director, right? And he is vehement, and he should be, because he's looking at this from that prism and his perspective. I did go to school. I did take those tests. I did learn that stuff, right? But I also was that person. And so that guy with
He's
those,
got a competitive
oh,
advantage.
dude, listen, because he's not. There's nothing you're going to say to him. He's going to hold your ass accountable, but he's going to do it with love. So a therapist can do that person you described, given that they have the right credentials in life, right?
Well,
Right.
I think part of the problem with therapy in general and psychiatry and psychology and whatever you want to call it
Yeah.
is the information is flawed. So people go to school, like you were criticizing the university, which I absolutely agree that the university is breeding.
Mediocrity.
It's not mediocrity. It's like they're breeding weakness. They're not encouraging strength, strength of mind, critical thinking skills. There's this virtuous like farce, this kind of like film over the top of everything, because people don't want to just fucking get into it. They don't want to just get into it. And so people go to school and they get this education, but the information that they are told is right or good or useful is flawed. Some of it's really useful. Like I went to a therapist when I was, I think, 17 years old, and she gave me some information that was like completely new information to me at the time that revolutionized the way that I could contextualize my life. That's really helpful. Like if they are offering helpful information, it should be kind of like putting together a puzzle. But we are so geared towards homogenization in this culture that we think that we need to diagnose everyone until we're all like on the same level, and we don't want to value the extremes or like the it's ironic because we're all about diversity is like this new virtue, and yet we don't actually value true diversity. It scares the shit out of a lot of people. So for someone to speak as passionately as you do, or as you do, someone who says that they are upholding diversity is actually going to be like, you're offending me. And it's like, well, I'm over here being diverse. So what are you talking about? Why are you so upset? And so I think that the things that we are holding as true are actually not true. And the university is one place that is supposed to be an authority and really shouldn't be. So you know what I love
Wow.
about that,
Wow.
and what I was thinking the entire time I was listening to your story, the pre-Dave, or we could call it the shadow Dave story, but that's what I was noticing was the way that you were in that phase of your life is the way that you are in this. There's a balance. You talked about balance. There's not only balance of the scales, but there's a balance of the light and the shadow. And so one thing that I love about people in recovery and the people that you work with is, the depths to which they sink, or the darkness where they live. They have that balanced capacity to do just as much in the
Good.
light as they did in the dark. And
Absolutely.
and this is not about like personality. This is like an energetic law that exists in the universe, where as dark as you go, as deep as you go, you can go to the light as well. And Tony and I have been doing a whole bunch of branding, and that's a whole other conversation. But part of the logo of Beacon Recovery is actually that. It's the branches that are in the light, and it's the roots that go down into the dark. And so I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all that the first half of your life was this, and the second half of your life was this. And I think that is such a beautiful value of the very population that is in the prisons. Like, hey, all of this is also within you. All of this shit you did can be balanced over here. And why would we not want to do that? I studied education in college, and one of the things that I learned studying education and the responsibility of the teacher is to hold the standard for the student. If you hold no standard, then what you're saying to them is, I don't believe that you're capable of anything. I actually don't believe in you because I hold no standard for you. And so that's kind of what I was saying about like the flaw with the information that people are passing around as truth, is that, well, we can't expect too much of them because of their trauma. We can expect more from them because of their trauma, actually. And so to hold that standard is the loving thing to do. And you're doing that, which is why these people are rising to that standard. It's why you get to see all of that stuff come out of them. And if you didn't hold that, then they would be like, oh, well, Dave thinks that this is all I am.
Yeah, no.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, the Other Side Academy.
So,
If you want to support a very good,
Movement.
that's a great word for what you do. And you walk into any one of your stores, right? I think you have two stores, but every single person that you come across is coming from their heart.
Well, whether it's the thrift boutiques or whether it's the moving company, whether it's our storage, whether it's our construction company, the money that we generate goes back to the facility so we can continue to help people without charging them to be there. The beauty of the model is you can stay as long as you need to.
Yeah.
Because everybody is going to be ready. When I say ready, we need to be careful with that word, but ready to reintegrate back into the community as successful, hardworking, tax-paying citizens that don't use and don't throw their lives away. Seldom do you find that in 30 days. We believe in whole person change.
Yeah.
Whole person change for somebody like Dave can take years to unwind that old behavior that was so deep
Embedded
in my DNA.
Yep.
Right. I had to erase it out of my DNA and etch something new in there. That took time.
It takes time.
So the beauty of a TC therapeutic community model is you have as much time as you need. The reason why we can do that is we keep the government as far away from this as we possibly can. If the government knew how to solve this problem, they wouldn't have created it. The government has nothing to do with TOSA.
Oh my gosh. The government.
Nothing, which is why we're so successful. Because I'm telling you, as I spend a lot of time up at the Capitol, you have academics up there crafting legislation that have no lived experience. You look at Housing First, which has happened in the last 10 or 15 years. It has been a debacle of epic failure. A debacle. Taking someone who's living in a tent or living under a bridge and going, here, now you have a roof over your head. If you haven't solved the root problem of why they become homeless,
In the first place.
it's going to become a drug den.
Yeah.
We've already experienced it for the last 15 years, hence the Other Side Village that we've started for the chronically homeless. That's a whole other conversation we won't get into. But you have legislators and you have academics up there at the Capitol that have never done drugs, never lived on the street, never been to jail, never been to prison, crafting policy for this population.
Dave, I have right now a sitting district judge that because of a law that some knucklehead or a group of knuckleheads that you're talking about up in Capitol Hill created, I have a judge who, by the way, is not a therapist. He's a lawyer.
All judges are.
Okay, so he was an attorney at some point. Now he's a judge. He gets, because of the law, he gets to tell people where they can go get treatment.
Well, here's the fascinating thing.
Did you hear what I just said
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah, I'm going to explain.
How does what?
I'm going to take it a step deeper.
What?
Give me 2 minutes to explain this. About 3 years ago, our Mayor Mendenhall, called me. She says, Dave, I need you to do me a favor. I says, what's up, Aaron? She goes, Judge Baxter's about ready to retire. He's our Justice Court judge. We're going to pick a new judge. I'd like you to sit on the panel and help us pick the next judge. I says, Aaron, I think you got the wrong Dave. She goes, no, I got the right one. I says, you realize? She goes, yeah, that's why I want you there. So there was 6 of us in this room. 29 applicants. 29. I'm in my office. I have a stack of paper that's 2 feet tall. It's all the citations. It's all their history. It's their resume. It's everything they've done in their lives. It took me months to go through all this, to study each applicant. What were all 29 applicants? They were all lawyers.
Yes.
Public defenders, DAs, criminal justice lawyers. They were all lawyers. When you go to school to be a lawyer, what are you studying?
The law.
What the fuck do you know about people?
Not a damn thing.
You know the law.
Yes.
So I'm also part of an organization called the National Association of Women Judges. Don't laugh. I'm not a woman. But I'm part of that organization, and I go to California every year. We go into Los Colinas Detention Center, and I do a big presentation for all the women inmates there. We do a big luncheon. It's put on by the National Association of Women Judges. So the year before last, I'm in San Diego. I'm sitting at a table having dinner with a whole cadre of judges. We're eating in this restaurant, and I'm not going to mention her name, and I was talking about California prison system and Cerdaños. She says, Dave, what's a Cerdaño? And I about choked on my food. I said, Your Honor, you're in the state of California. You're in San Diego. Half the prison population in California is comprised of Cerdaños, Southern Hispanic, Mexican gang members. You don't know what a Cerdaño is? You're sitting on a bench and you don't know who's sitting before you as you sentence them to prison or not. You should put the gavel down and go to prison for 6 months and learn. How can
you said that to her?
Yes.
Good for you.
What are you talking? Of course, I say it to anybody.
Yeah.
How are you? Because you're a judge doesn't mean you understand the problem. It means you understand law.
Yes.
But you know nothing about people. All 29 applicants, right? And JoJo Liu is our new Justice Court judge. She's a remarkable person. But every single one of them were previous judges. So Mayor Mendenhall recently said, Dave, why don't you go get your JD? Become a judge. Because I'm so frustrated right now with the judicial, right.
We're sitting waiting for Senator Sandel
Right.
to come out of wherever they're voting. And I told Sarah, because that was you, right? I think I'm gonna run. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over there and run for this whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I never thought about it till I was sitting there because I'm sitting there working on a law that somebody over there passed that nobody had the wherewithal. You're giving a judge and the law enforcement community to determine where somebody gets treatment. What? How do they? What?
Can I give you some?
How does that even? How do you get to do that? Who was the idiot or group of idiots that passed that stupid shit? Damn. How about you let them decide the person? Oh, but they don't know better, so we get to decide for them. I'm sorry. What?
Well, no, you were hitting on exactly what I was just sensing, listening to you guys. They don't know better. And one of the underlying reasons why we have this problem is, so you said, they all know the law. People want to hide behind the external authority rather than trust their own heart is what Tony would say.
Yeah.
So they one of the things that we are working through right now collectively is, rather than hide behind an external authority or definition for our life, we trust our life. And this is an issue like across the board. It's something that we really some are pioneers in this and this truth coming forward, which is the thing of supreme value is your heart, your spirit, your lived experience. And that's why it's such a problem. Oh, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm afraid to offend anybody. And everybody is trying to hide behind the rules rather than just live your life. Go on the journey, have the experience. It's this obsession with safety that we have, and it's artificial. It's not real, but I see it everywhere. And so when I'm listening to you guys, as much as I respect your boldness, I also recognize that not everybody is so bold. Not everybody. This isn't everybody's job. It's not everybody's job to play the role that you are playing. And so I think that it's important to have a certain amount of like reverence or gratitude for, like, yep, this is my job. I'm doing my job with full recognition that it's not everybody's job. If everybody were Dave or everybody were Tony, I wouldn't want to live here. I mean, I like you guys.
Oh, that
but
hurt.
Like, I wouldn't like it.
That
Wouldn't
would
Two of you are enough.
Well, no, it wouldn't work.
Right.
Like the world, life wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, these people that are getting in front of this district court judge, they could say, because I've got two people that graduated my program that chose not to go and be in the drug court after being forced to go to Bay River. They said, you know what? No, I'm not going to. No, I've been clean, Your Honor.
Yeah, they're the bold ones.
They are the bold ones
Yeah.
because they said, I'm choosing what they in essence did, right, is they were able to make a choice and say, you know what, Your Honor, I'll run the risk of going to jail because I'm going to turn your drug court down.
Well, you're going to make my point. Like the Other Side Academy, a judge cannot send somebody to a judge can't have all these people that came out of holding. Now they're on they're in the pew, and and the judge goes, you John Doe, you Jack Doe, and you Bill Doe, you're going to TOSA.
Yes,
No, they can't. They cannot.
Yes, they can.
No, they can't.
There's a law that I'm fighting right
Tony,
now.
you're not listening. So listen to me. A judge cannot send somebody to us. It's never happened. It never will. They cannot.
Oh, wait, hold on. I've read the law. Yes, they can.
We won't take them.
Hold on a sec. Wait, let me just make sure I'm clear. You understand what I'm saying to you. Those judges that you personally know don't, but I'm telling you, there is a law on the books in the state of Utah currently that gives law enforcement the opportunity through their probation.
I get it, but
they
we won't take them. They can send them. We won't take them.
This is great, but that's not my point. My point is they shouldn't be able to do this, and that's why I'm talking to that's why I was over at the state, at the Capitol, talking to these lawmakers.
If you want to be successful, we interview them first. We have to accept them. Then the judge can allow them to go.
Yes.
A judge can then go, okay, John Doe, you're going to TOSA because you have letter of acceptance. But all the judges know they can't just send somebody to us, nor do they.
What I'm hoping for, what I'm praying for, is that the people that are up in my neck of the woods, up in Box Elder County, that they are given the opportunity to choose where they go.
Absolutely.
I've got a judge and a sheriff that are telling people where to go. What? No, because of the way the law is written. Now, are they breaking the law? No. Are they being incredibly reckless with somebody's life? Absolutely. Right? Let them choose where to go. That's all I've been saying.
I'll tell you how bad judges have it. I sit in these courtrooms and the judge can sentence you, Sarah, to a 5 to life. But I'm going to sentence you to this prison, or I'm going to sentence you to this, and I want you. Judges can sentence you to prison, but once they've sentenced you to prison and you become state property, they have absolutely no say-so in where you go or how long you're down. But if you sit there in a courtroom and listen to a judge who are sitting on that pew and they're drinking their own Kool-Aid, they think they can dictate what prison you're on. I'm in California. The judges are telling me how much time I'm going to do and where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
They have, once you're sentenced, they have nothing to. The state now owns you. The judge is in a county facility sentencing you to prison. The minute you get sentenced, the judge has no more say-so over you.
The thing is, though, these people that are being told, like I am up in, they don't know that they can say, hold on, Your Honor. No, I don't want to go there, because they're believing what that judge is saying, because he's sitting about 6 feet higher than they are, wearing a black robe with a gavel,
and nobody's holding him accountable.
Nobody's holding and these people with guns and handcuffs. If you get out of line in that courtroom, they're going to come handcuff you, and you're going to go away. So these people are thinking, well, since that judge is saying this, it must be here we go,
truth.
Yes,
it's part of the problem.
It's part of the problem.
Well, I'm part of CCJ. I go to the CCJJ meetings now, and Tom Ross is the director of. He's the commissioner on criminal justice. He's the commissioner on CCJJ, commissioner on criminal and juvenile justice.
You knew you could do it,
right? I knew I could do it. It just took me some time as you get this old. One of the problems is here's what's happened. Like, you look at 2 months ago. You can Google this when we're done with this call. Just look at the robbery that took place in Salt Lake City. 2 gentlemen entered an RV, not unlike the one we're sitting in, with rifles that have the magazines that are clear when you can see the bullets. They entered the RV and they robbed the people inside the RV at gunpoint, stole all their stuff, their wallets, all kinds of stuff. Told the people in the RV, if you call the police, we will come back and kill you. Of course, they called the police. The cops found the car in an apartment complex. They waited. The people came out of the apartment complex, walked to the car. The police got them. They owned the car. They admitted they were there. They actually admitted that they did it, and the stolen property was still in the car. These guys got arrested, went to jail, and 8 hours later, they were released. 8 hours later, they were released with a promise to appear. This is a strong-arm robbery in Salt Lake City. 8 hours later, they're felons in possession of firearms. They have criminal histories. I went to Tom Ross, right, and I'm putting him on Front Street right now because I don't care. They won't do anything. Why is it that we don't have a commission that can go to that courtroom right after those guys get released and go, Your Honor, articulate to us why you released them. How did you make that decision? Why can't we hold, when we make
accountability?
When we make judges God, we'll have this problem.
There's zero accountability. So you just dropped a name, Judge Maynard, district court judge. Why are you making people go to Bear River when you know I exist? You should have come to me 6 years ago, Your Honor, and said, hey, and I know what happened, right? When you first got started, Bear River was the only player in town. I get that. But the minute that there's an alternative in town, and especially when we reached out to you and wanted to, nope, nothing, right? Why did...
Well, I'm not making this problem about me, or we're not going to make it about
you,
Beacon either. The problem
it's systemic.
Yeah, the problem is also this. We had a guy who came to our facility and stayed with us for a few years. His name was Gregory Youngblood. In 1999, he was convicted of the Habitual Criminal Act. He's been a criminal for 30 years. He came, he stayed for a few years, he split, went out there and just burned a few women. When I say burned them, financially just getting with these women, moving into their house, bilking them for tens of thousands of dollars. Some of these women are calling me because they know that he was connected to the academy. So in 2024, Gregory Youngblood's been arrested 5 times for sales of drugs, scales, baggies, possession while driving stolen property. The cops opened his phone, found the chop shops that were buying the vehicles. He has a very, very colorful 2024. Felony arrests, released. Felony arrest, released. Felony arrest, released. Do you remember a couple months ago of the guy in Weber County that doused the woman with gasoline and started her on fire?
I do not.
That's him. Now they're holding him. Do we have to kill people before you'll hold us?
Okay.
This is what judges are doing. Did you remember hearing that story?
Hold on.
I do.
Wait.
That's him.
Okay, hold on.
And he got released 5 times in 2024.
Oh, my gosh. Hold on. You get a DUI in the state of Utah. Now, let's be clear what a DUI means. That means you could have killed somebody because you've drunk, right? In the state of Utah, are they telling these people that they have to go? No, your first offense, in large part, you can take a Prime for Life course. Now, let's talk about Prime for Life for a second. A lot of great information in Prime for Life. Really. It's a 16-hour course. We can do it. We're authorized to teach that class, right? But when you're doing Prime for Life, here we go with that word again, there's zero accountability. Yes, all you got to do is show that judge that told you after your first DUI. Now it's your second DUI. Well, that's when we're going to get serious. What? Why do we wait for the second DUI and or the third before it becomes a felony, and then you can go be singing with Johnny Cash?
And here's the problem with that: if you've got 3 DUIs, you got away with it 3,000 times.
That's
Nobody
exactly
ever
right.
gets arrested for their first DUI.
Yes.
It's the only time they.
Yes.
Hundreds and hundreds
Yes.
of times before you get arrested.
Who is going to stand up for these people, Dave? These people that are in front of these judges. They don't know that they can tell the judge, you know what, Your Honor? No, I don't want to go over there. I want to go here. And there's not a damn thing he can do about it. Really. But they don't know that. But when they come out the other side, like Connor, is that his name?
Colin.
That kid. Dang. But, you can look at that kid and you can say, because he's a big boy, right? You could see him creating some havoc in somebody's life. Right now, he is like a big, gentle teddy bear.
Here's how his stay started. and you could ask him this when you see him next. When he came to the Other Side Academy, guess who brought him? Mommy. And when they sat him on the bench and I looked at him and I started asking him a little bit of his history and he told me how many treatment facilities he's been to,
Yeah.
I said, how old are you? I think he was like 36 at the time.
Yeah.
I said, is it Mom? He says, yeah. I says, do you love her? Yeah, I love my mom. Well, then how the fuck would you treat her if you hated her? You've been using drugs
Yeah.
and dragging your mom all over the state of Utah from treatment facility, costing her tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Your mouth just said, I love my mom. What do your fucking actions say? That started his stay, and he says he's never looked back. He goes, it's the first time in any treatment facility I've ever been in where somebody told me the truth. He goes, you did that right in front of my mom, and I did say I love her. But what do his actions say?
Yeah.
Mommy, take me to the next one. Mommy, take me to the next one. Mommy, I'm stealing from you again. Mommy, give me some more of your hard-earned money. Mommy, 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 mommy. If you loved her, you'd just get away from her and go do your shit and leave her alone.
Out of it.
It's too painful. Don't say, if that's what love looks like, what would hate look like?
Exactly.
He says he's never forgotten that conversation. That's what set him on this path.
Accountability, or in this case, in our world, prior to them coming to our programs, a lack thereof, right? There is zero accountability in what's going on with our model, and it's by design because the system, the machine, I call it, right, wants people to fail. We were talking about insurance companies telling me when people can get treatment. I'm dictated to, in large part, if I'm dealing with private insurance companies, they tell me when and how long somebody's going to get treatment. And it blows me away because they will come right smack dab in the middle of their treatment, and I'll go through an ROI and then go through a peer review and fail both of those, and then I can't because I can't treat people for free. Then they leave, and if I'm lucky, they'll relapse and come back to treatment. But oftentimes they don't relapse and come to treatment. They relapse and take a dirt nap. And the entire time this is happening, in the whole process, somebody's making a lot of money. And it's who's really in charge, and that's Big Pharma, right? That is supported by, well, our previous administration, right? There, I said it. Our previous administration, dang, am I going to say? Our previous administration fanned that flame of, we want you to die. Did I just say that out in the podcast? Don't edit that because it's the truth. That's what they did. This new administration, right? Those guys, President Trump, he's flipping the script, and I love it. And I'm hoping that this podcast gets in front of him and he gets to hear these things. And please, President Trump, send somebody down here to fix this shit, right? Because you want to drain the swamp? Well, let's pull the plug. Let's pull the plug of the swamp in Utah, right, in Brigham City. I'll pull it, right? And we'll watch it. Yeah. Because the system is broken. You know it, I know it, and they know it.
Here's the thing to remember.
What?
I challenge anybody listening to this podcast to find the white paper, to find the science that says 30, 60, or 90 days is the optimal time. Listen to me. It doesn't exist.
No.
There's no such science and there's no such paperwork. Nothing's ever been written that says 30, 60, or 90 days is the optimal time. What you will find is the dosage effect.
Yes.
The longer people are in treatment,
The higher the success.
But the government won't pay for it.
No, they won't.
60 years ago, when treatment facilities first started popping up in this country, right? The average length of stay was 28 days. I probably shared this with you before. Most people don't know it. It's because the average American had 28 days,
Vacation.
2 weeks of vacation,
Yeah.
2 weeks of sick pay.
Yeah.
So they went for 28 days. Then the 2-year programs popped up. Daytop, Synanon, the Phoenix House, TCs, doing incredible work. The government came in and just fed the Phoenix House tens of millions of dollars to populate the country with the Phoenix House. But then they said, well, don't do it in 2, do it in 1. Don't do it in 1, do it in 60 days. Don't do it in 60 days, do it in 90 days. You can serve more people. The government did this to the model.
Yeah.
They're the ones responsible.
Yes.
They're not responsible for the choices I make, but they're responsible for creating a model that's ineffective.
It's broke. I get asked by judges, by attorneys, how long is your program? And I look at these people and I'm like, I don't know. Are you telling me that I'm supposed to have a start and an end date? Do you have any idea how irresponsible that I don't say those words, but it is. And how am I supposed to say when they're going to end their treatment? I don't know. They're going to determine, the person that's getting treatment, they'll determine how long their treatment's going to be. I'm not, we're just, look, you do what you do. We're going to watch you, right? We're going to UA the living. Oh, here's one for you, Utah Medicaid. I can only do 16 confirmatories in 1 year. Let that sink in. I can only do 16 UAs where I can send it off to a lab and confirm what levels are in there. That's all Medicaid will pay for in the state of Utah. Now, I understand why. You guys were getting raped, where people were making millions and millions of dollars off the UAs, but you've gone completely on the other side of the pendulum, 16 UAs. And what that says is what you just said. 16 UAs. If I did 1 UA a week, that's 16 weeks. And then what do I do?
I know.
Okay? Now, obviously, we do a lot more than 16 UAs in a year. I've got a method for that. That's a conversation for another day. But I'm doing UAs every day for the first 30 days while you come to Beacon, right? Really. So the system on every level, insurance companies, the judges, the lawyers, people. One of my old clinical directors that is just they're lost. Like Mr. Magoo, just kind of. Well, but every once in a while. Right? When you're fortunate enough, you stumble across somebody else that gets it. Right? And that's what happened. She says, well, you got this meeting with Dave DuRocher. He's the owner of the Other Side Academy. I'm like, well, okay. I mean, I get some cool furniture. I had no idea who she was. I just go to this store to get some cool furniture. Yeah, okay, fine. And she was relentless about this meeting that you and I took, or that you gave me, right?
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. I'm just doing my job.
She's finally earning that pay. Goodness gracious. But it happens. And here's what I'm finding, Dave. The further and further I go down this rabbit hole, I'm seeing a bunch of stupid shit, but at the exact same time, I'm coming across people like you. We've done some phenomenal podcasts with some, I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but we've had some pretty cool guests, and this is no exception. Your story is amazing, right? And you're also your recognition now. You would not be, all that shit you did, all those times and all those years and all the cars you stole and all the, who was the girl that you met with when you got out of prison?
Jennifer.
PJ and Jennifer.
Well, PJ was the one that just
It was the first
served
one.
a
Jennifer
purpose.
was
And
the-
then,
yeah.
yeah, okay. All of that, okay, it funneled you into this person. And here's what I tell people, and I know you have the exact same way. I'll stop doing this when I stop drawing breath. Seriously. I will do this for the rest of my life,
Absolutely.
okay? Because we owe it to these people. Why are we here? What is your purpose on this planet? What is my purpose on this? Is it just to? Because when I retired from the military, right, I went out and played golf every day. It was fun for a minute.
I think when you say what is the purpose, I think you hear the word success a lot, right? And we have to define success, and different people have a different definition of success.
It has nothing to do with money.
Yeah, many people think it
No.
means it's financial.
No way.
Success to me means how much richer are your lives because I'm in it.
Because of my involvement in your,
Right.
in your
So-
yeah.
Can I add value? Do I bring something to the table? How much richer are the lives of the people whose lives I'm in richer because of my existence?
Yeah.
That's where I measure my success. The circle of influence, and all of us know there's people we can count on. I know I can call on Sarah. Now I know I can count on call you. I know, and you. I know I've got a whole circle of people I can call on no matter what. Is
Yeah.
that important? Yes, but it's more important to me that I know you can count on me. That's the most important thing in my life now. Is
Yeah.
can I bring something to this world of value? Can I add value? Right? That's what success is to me.
You and I are exactly on the same page. I have mentioned, I don't know if I've done it on a podcast, because this isn't about money for us. I've given, 6 cars away to graduates, right? Here's the keys. Now, it's not a Bentley, but it's a car that I bought in a shitty condition, leak here, whatever, brakes, and got it all dialed in. You got a job because you've got a job. We got case managers that help you with this, right? It's not about the money. When I first got started with this, you've seen Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner. Yeah, it's Kevin Costner, and he hears, this, if you build it, they will come. Right? I did that. I didn't hear it like that. It wasn't a whisper, but it was in here, and it said, if you do this the right way, don't make it about the money, right? Everything will all work out. And that's exactly what has happened which is where we are right here and right now.
Mm-hmm.
We were meant. There are no accidents in this life, Dave. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
There is no such thing as a coincidence, and every single moment in our lives has intent. If it didn't have intent, it wouldn't have happened. To include, who you encounter at the grocery store, give them a smile, right? Do your part. You're doing your part. That doesn't make you any better or any worse than somebody out there that isn't doing their part, because they're doing whatever they're doing. You were chosen to do this, which is, of course, why you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And all that stuff, all those opportunities for you to learn, and all those years you spent in prison are serving you quite well right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, I can imagine you must have some stuff going on when you take off your shirt and go into the pool. I mean, it's got to be a canvas, your body, all that artwork that you did,
Mm-hmm.
all them rites of passage that you had to get, that you used, right? But you now draw on that
Mm-hmm.
to assist people that come through the same as I'm doing with Beacon Recovery, right? Do I have a degree? I don't. Dude, I don't know how I graduated high school. Honestly, really. I'm one of the people that just got pushed through.
Mm-hmm.
I think you both are, right? Isn't that
No.
kind of how that went?
Oh, well, it was easy for you.
Yeah.
If I got a D on a report card, there was cause for celebration. No joke. No, because I'm over across the street doing doobies, smoking, and then going to sitting in class high,
Mm-hmm.
right? But all that stuff, all my childhood, all the trauma, right? All the limiting beliefs, all of it. Hootie every door that closes, everything. He talks about everything that I've done brought me to right here with you, sweetheart, is what he's talking about in that song. This is where we are right now. We're living in the moment, day to day, in the present, right? Yeah, you have a past, but you're not in there. That doesn't define who you are. And these people that are labeled with this addict bullshit mentality, that's not who these people are. They are not addicts. That's not what, in my opinion, that's not what defines these people. What defines these people is what potential they have to do good in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And all they need to do is go to a place like Beacon Recovery or the Other Side Academy and have somebody that's been there and done it to show them the way. Here, I'm not going to do the work for you. I'm going to show you how to do the work. And then you, in turn, get to do the same thing with everybody you come in contact with. And that, my friend, is where the magic happens. Because we are coming to these people from here. But we're at the same time, we love you enough to tell you the truth.
Sorry, the truth.
This is interesting listening to you, because a question that's been circling around in my mind is there's this question of being held accountable.
Uh-oh.
So who's going to hold you accountable? If we don't trust experts, then, for example, Tony, with what you're talking about, who's going to hold you accountable? Who's going to hold Big Pharma accountable? Who's going to hold who is the authority? And what I think is rising up is like we have to hold them accountable. Like and that goes back to the like becoming your own inner authority. Like we can't even wait for President Trump or President Bold or President Hart or President Square or whatever. Like we can't even wait for that person to come and hold this system, this world accountable. Like we have to start doing that right now.
It's on each one of us individually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like Hans over at Impact says, if I want to say this right, if not, how does he say it? If not me, who?
Right.
If
And
not now, when?
If not now, when?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And maybe he didn't coin that, but that's Impact is. We had some podcasts where we had some guys, and I did the Impact training, but that's what they talk about. That right there. Right now is the time, right? And you, me, us. I'm not afraid to pull the gloves off and white knuckle it with these heavy hitters up in Brigham City, right?
That was so okay. Can I just say, like, going around the Capitol with you, Tony, was just such a delight because every person that you knew you wanted to talk to, you were just like eyes fixed, and I was like, oh, he's gonna do it. He's gonna go talk to him, and it was cool. It was really cool.
Well, because they're over there.
Yeah.
I see who you are. Her and I are carrying on a conversation. I see you over there, right? You pull your pants legs up one leg at a time, just like I do. I'm not afraid to go over. What's the worst that can happen? You can say no. Well, you're going to say no until I give you an opportunity to say yes. I give you an education on why you should say yes. And so she's right. If I see you, yeah, we're sitting outside of, they were making a vote. We were looking at this screen, right? And Senator Sandel came out and he said, excuse me, I didn't know what he was. He went back through some door, and then came back to where we were. I was like, they were over on the other side. And when we left, we saw, as we walked out, that was like a chamber for these guys to do their stuff, create their stupid, well, this law that I've been talking about. I'm not going to say that all the laws they created are stupid, but this one is asinine beyond measure, giving these people the authority to tell people where to get treatment.
So, gentlemen, we need to wrap up. Unless you want to carry on without me, but
well,
we're
I mean,
at about 2 hours.
I was
gotta
going
go
to say,
too.
And Dave's got to get going.
I got to go as well. But this is we're going to split this one up into two.
Whatever you say.
I'm calling an audible, right?
RPO, run.
Yeah. So this is going to be a dually.
Run
So
pass option.
we'll let you know. Sarah will let you know. Oh, by the way, before we let you go, the Other Side Academy. What's the phone number? How can they get a hold of you guys if they want to?
They can just go right online and look up the Other Side Academy. There's a wonderful website that answers all their questions.
So go to the website.
2 ways you can come to us. Just walk to our front door, take a seat on the bench, and ask for an interview. We'll interview you right then.
Wait. Hold on a
It's
sec.
so simple.
I have a problem. I have a drug problem. I have whatever. That's the person you're talking about. They can come into one of those stores and have
Not the stores, the facility.
the facility. That's where I met you. That facility. And the address to that facility is on the website. What is the website?
theothersideacademy.org.
Okay. You're gonna verbiage that on the bottom of these podcasts. Theothersideacademy.org.
Yeah.
And they can go to that and get everything they deserve to get.
Yeah. And if they're in jail, if you've got a loved one that's in jail, they just write us a letter and ask for an interview, and we will interview them while they're in jail, and they'll get a letter of acceptance.
Wait.
Then
This is like Delancey did with
it's
you.
exactly.
How
That's
perfect.
exactly what it is.
How
They
thank
have
you.
to take the initiative. They have to ask for help. We have to conduct the interview, and we have to accept you. Nobody can make you come to us
Yeah.
unless we've interviewed you and accepted you.
Dave, thank you
Thank you.
for what you do.
Yep.
It's amazing what your program is doing,
Thank
what
you,
you are
Tony.
doing, and I am thanking you from me, man to man, to you, for going toe to toe and choosing the light. I am grateful.
All of us are playing our part.
We are.
I thank you both also. You, Sarah, for years of friendship now, and you, Tony, for
Yeah.
years of friendship going forward and all that you are doing
Yeah.
in this space. We all do our part.
Yes.
I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone.
No.
I always say, individually we're good. Together, we're gooder.
There's a good word. Yeah.
So can I leave you with one thought that
Sure.
I feel like has been expressed here? I was at a period of time, maybe 8 years ago. I was feeling really frustrated with my life, really frustrated with the ineffectiveness of the people around me. And I called a mentor of mine, and she said, well, the question you have to ask yourself is, are you looking for people you can help, or are you looking for people you can collaborate with? And I had never thought about that. Yes, it's wonderful to help. And I was at a point in my life where I needed people I could collaborate with. And both of you have been someone I can collaborate with. And so I just want to thank you
Yep, you're
for
welcome.
that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, my friend.
Yep.